Now, the final condition here I wanted to discuss is regarding gut health. There are animal studies showing improvements in leaky gut, in dysbiosis by improving populations of lactobacilli, improving motility, and decreasing gut sensitivity. But we want to see what the outcome data shows us. Now, thankfully here we have a 2015 randomized control trial with patients who had IBS. So bloating, pain, discomfort, constipation, diarrhea, or both. And they did find improvements in diarrhea, abdominal pain, urgency, and via the gut-brain connection, improvements in anxiety and depression when using berberine. Another data point here I felt worthy of discussion was a 2022 meta-analysis finding that berberine reduced the risk of colorectal adenoma, aka polyps, by 31%. Now, because berberine is an antimicrobial, it might be the antimicrobial or sort of antibacterial action that we at least think berberine exerts. Let me just make a side comment that in SIBO, berberine is often used to treat SIBO. I'll come back to a study on this in a moment, but at least anecdotally, berberine is recognized to be an antimicrobial, an antibacterial agent. It can fight things like SIBO. So perhaps the reason why we see improvements in colorectal adenoma risk is due to that antimicrobial action. And therefore, maybe antibiotics could also lead to improvements in colorectal adenomas. Well, when I did some fact checking on this, because I think antibiotics are incorrectly maligned in some cases. And so we want to be evidence-based here and look at, well, maybe something like rifaximin, which can help with SIBO, could also be helpful for colorectal adenomas. And this is not the case. A review paper looking at multiple antibiotics found the aggregate finding that there's actually an increased risk of colorectal adenomas when using antibiotics. This was observational, so it does suffer from limitations. It was just a quick poke into the research literature, but just wanted to share that berberine seems to do something beneficial for colorectal adenomas that's non-dependent upon its sort of skewing of the microbiota, and is probably due to its anti-inflammatory action. Now, I mentioned a second ago that berberine is sort of a commonplace treatment in natural medicine for SIBO, and to my surprise, when I went to fact check this, there are no trials that have studied directly berberine for SIBO. There is, at current, ongoing a clinical trial looking at this, but nothing published to date. Now, when we look at the side effects of berberine, it gives me pause in recommending it as a mainstay for gut health. The main side effects reported are constipation, diarrhea, flatulence, and abdominal pain. So there is one trial on IBS showing benefit. However, we have so many other therapeutics that can be helpful, like probiotics, elemental diets, immunoglobulins, that I would be a little bit wary, or I would at least say not to make berberine a frontline therapeutic in trying to improve your gut health. Now, when using a dose of above 300 milligrams, this is where the side effects seem to pop up, gastrointestinally speaking. The downside is every study that we covered has used a dose well north of 300, usually in the range of 700 milligrams per day up through about 2,500 milligrams per day. Details will follow in the usage comments in a moment. I'm wary that you're going to see the clinical effect that you want to see while staying underneath this 300 milligram dosage limitation that may thwart these gastrointestinal side effects. And so how to use berberine? Using a dose, again, summarizing from all these studies we just covered, anywhere between roughly 700 milligrams per day up through 2,500 milligrams per day. A capsule tends to be about 500 milligrams each. And regarding duration, the studies have shown safety and effectiveness for anywhere from 6 to 12 months. That's what's been studied. That's what's been documented. Might it be fine using it for longer? Perhaps, but we don't have any data to inform that comment yet. And regarding the form of berberine, berberine HCl has been criticized or commented to have poor bioavailability, but this might not be a bad thing if that means it's going to have a somewhat localized effect in the gut. It has not been demonstrated that you need a more bioavailable form. And pretty much every study that we discussed used the less bioavailable Berberine HCl. So I think you're just fine using a standard Berberine HCl due to the fact that all of these studies showed, or most of these studies showed, benefit with this form. So there you have it. Weight loss, probably not. For blood sugar, cholesterol, and inflammation, I think it's a great choice. For gut health, maybe, but be aware of the potential side effects. Okay, there's a recap on Berberine. I hope that helps.